The start to Tyreek Hill's career has been nothing but captivating with his mind-boggling speed. And right now, I'd argue that he's even a top 3 wide receiver of all time with the track record he's managed to put together so far.
Tyreek Hill should be the MVP of the league. Is that an overreaction?
It is not.
And I go back 1990. He's the scariest receiver. He's more scared than Jerry. I'm not saying he's a better receiver than Jerry, but he's scarier than Jerry because he's one of the few men in the history of the game that's been able to take a 5-yard route and turn into an 80-yard spectacular.
He can absolutely go up and get any jump ball as if he was 6'3", and if you give him an inch of space, he will absolutely blow right past any defender. From when he ran the fastest 40-yard dash in NFL history to breaking the NFL speed record, here are 10 moments in which Tyreek Hill shocked the league, proving himself to be the fastest man in the NFL and one of the greatest wide receivers of all time. Everybody knows the story of John Ross, the Washington Huskies wide receiver who broke CJ2K's NFL record 4.240 at the NFL Combine. Ross's 4.22 set a new record and fired him from a 3rd-round draft prospect into the top 10 of the 2017 NFL Draft. You see, the thing is though, Tyreek ran faster than a 4.22 that Ross ran. The only thing was though, he didn't get an invite to the Combine. His background meant that he had to scratch and claw just to get scouts to take notice of him in a last-ditch effort to improve his draft stock in 2016. He held a private pro day at West Alabama where a scout timed his 40-yard dash at 4.21 on a stopwatch. Now, there were many other coaches that were there that did clock him in too, and there were a lot of times that were posted about him, but he's never officially been timed on a league 40-yard dash. But in my mind, there is absolutely no doubt that he could run faster than 4.22, and I mean, it's likely that he is the fastest man in the NFL right now. It didn't take long for the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid to realize they had gotten their hands on a special talent. In his rookie season, Hill emerged as a threat for NFL defenses right out of the gate. He caught his first touchdown pass in his very first game, taking a short reception from quarterback Alex Smith and turning it upfield for a 9-yard score against the San Diego Chargers. And I mean, hell, by week 7, Andy Reid had officially discovered how to use Tyreek's speed and absolutely stretch the field. And in doing so, he caught back-to-back touchdowns on go routes against both the New Orleans Saints that weekend and the Indianapolis Colts the week after. Teams were just starting to learn about the danger of Tyreek and the speed that he possessed. But in week 12, that speed hit a whole new level against the Broncos in Thursday Night Football. The division rivalry game was tightly contested in the first half until Denver punted following a safety to make it 2-0 to Kansas City. The subsequent punt landed in the arms of Tyreek Hill, who fielded it at the 15-yard line outside of the numbers on the left-hand side of the field. He darted towards the oncoming rush before putting his foot in the ground to bounce to the outside, quickly finding what looked like his top gear. But as Hill cleared the wave of orange jerseys, he recorded the fastest speed in the league at that time at 22.77 miles per hour. He took the punt in for a touchdown, not even close to being brought down, and the Chiefs ended up winning the game in overtime. And because of that play, the nickname the Cheetah was born. And it's actually funny because Tyreek actually ended up claiming that nickname from Matt Breida, who at the time was also known as the Cheetah, or at least called himself that. Hill had always referred to his speed as Cheetah speed, and once he'd shown it off in his rookie season, there was no denying who the real Cheetah was. He shut down Breida's claim, signaling that he had the handle on social media, and running a 4.48 or whatever you run doesn't make you the Cheetah. And I mean, honestly, who really can argue with Tyreek that he's not the fastest human being right now? The craziest part though is that wasn't even his top speed. That same season in 2016, Hill fielded a kickoff against the Houston Texans before cutting down the left sideline. And once again, he was never going to be caught, scampering into the end zone for an outrageous 105-yard kick return on the play, while clocking in at a top speed of 23.24 miles an hour. To my knowledge, and at least the research that I did do, or at least got, was that nobody has even come close to touching that record of almost averaging 24 miles per hour on a football field. Like, I mean, running at 23 miles per hour as a human being is just insane in itself. But then you add that these guys are wearing helmets, pads, and just carrying extra weight It's absolutely insane. Yet Tyreek Hill has still been running faster than the speed of sound for years. And look, when he hits that stride, nobody, including yourself, is catching him. This next one though, he just did Dallas dirty in though. In a Week 9 game in the 2017 NFL season, the Kansas City Chiefs lined up on their own 44-yard line with 2 seconds left on the clock before the half. They were trailing 14-3 in the game and the offense needed a spark. With 2 seconds to play while possessing the football inside their own half, most teams would simply kneel out the half and go after the break. But not Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs with Tyreek Hill on the field. And look, just for context, by the 2017 season, many more teams were aware of Tyreek Hill's speed and they were trying to account for it, but at the end of the day, they just couldn't. On this occasion, Dallas set up their defense with just 3 rushers, 1 guy and a spy, and no less than 7 defenders inside their own 10-yard line. In response, the Chiefs snapped the ball and dumped it off to Hill over the middle in acres of space, and needless to say, he put in work.
Can Hill go? Impossible! Touchdown, Kansas City! How did they do that? Oh my gosh, I've never seen that in my entire time in football, and I promise you, Jason Garrett hasn't either.
This next one though, not many saw, even though there were millions of eyes that were watching the NFL. Not mentioning the countless cameras, broadcasts, and people in the stadium, catching a touchdown without anybody noticing is a pretty incredible feat. But the speedy Tyreek Hill is the only player in the NFL to ever do it. In a game against the Denver Broncos, Hill's speed got him behind the Broncos defense, allowing Patrick Mahomes to fire a deep ball towards him in the end zone. There was a cornerback in coverage, and as the ball came in, it was bobbled as the 2 players fell to the ground together. But upon further review, Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth calling the game couldn't believe what they had seen.
Wait a second. Well, it's bobbled. Does it hit the ground? Hits his...
Oh,
look at this.
Oh my God.
They could have challenged it if they had seen it, but they don't.
Even though Hill had gotten up, tossed the football, and jogged back to the sideline, unaware that he had just caught a touchdown. Sadly though, the Chiefs ended up punting away the ball and not even challenging the play call, and they never even realized what had happened. And thus, the touchdown that nobody saw was born. This next one though, I've only seen Tyreek Hill able to do. In a battle against the Minnesota Vikings, the Chiefs scored a thunderous go-ahead touchdown to take the game from 16-10 in favor of Minnesota to 17-16 to the Chiefs midway through the third quarter. And surprisingly, Hill wasn't the scorer on this occasion, with the play going to the running back Damian Williams. The Chiefs had a 2nd and 4 on their own 9-yard line, handing off to Williams for an inside run, of which he tore through the Vikings defense and took off for the end zone. He celebrated the score with Tyreek Hill, but if you rewind and watch where Tyreek Hill came from, it's absolutely insane. Hill was blocking on the far side and near on standing still as Williams ran past him. Like the running back was going at top speed and out in front of everybody on the field, at which point Tyreek Hill sprinted up beside him and put an arm around him as they reached the pay dirt. Hill had gone from standing still on the far side of the field to putting a friendly arm around his sprinting teammate as he scored a touchdown, catching up to him in a truly spectacular fashion. This next play though helped the Chiefs win a Super Bowl. Tyreek Hill made the biggest play of Super Bowl 54, and the now famous WASP play call only highlights how deadly and how good Tyreek Hill is in a game. The Chiefs were trailing the San Francisco 49ers by 10 points with just 7 minutes to go in the game. If they wanted to claim the first Super Bowl of the Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid era, it was going to take something special to bring them back into the game. Mahomes had asked to run the play WASP, a play that was built around getting Tyreek Hill open for a chunk gain. Looking back on this, it was a 3rd and 15, and if they don't get this play, it goes to 4th down, they punt it, and they probably lose a ton of clock and get clocked out of that Super Bowl championship. Instead, Mahomes ran into the huddle, called 2-3 jet chip WASP, and Tyreek Hill was about to flip the script of that Super Bowl.
Launches down the middle, Hill, open, caught.
Even to this day, Tyrann Mathieu claims that there is no other coach, quarterback, and wide receiver trio that could have pulled that off in a moment like that. Travis Kelce caught a touchdown pass to end the drive, and the Chiefs came back and won the Super Bowl. Having a guy like Tyreek Hill on your roster changes everything. And honestly, he might have been the only player on earth who could have changed the game at that single moment besides Patrick Mahomes, who got him the ball. Tyreek Hill had been a part of a generational trio in Kansas City alongside Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, winning a Super Bowl, playing in 2, and reaching 4 straight AFC championship games since Mahomes had taken over as the franchise quarterback. It seemed as though this trio would continue to dominate the league for years to come. But in March of 2022, a contract dispute between Hill and the Chiefs led to a shocking trade. Within hours of the dispute surfacing, Tyreek Hill was traded to the Miami Dolphins in exchange for a haul of 5 draft picks. He then signed a record-breaking extension in Miami, making him the highest paid receiver in the NFL. Immediately, critics wrote off both Hill and the Dolphins, mocking the decision to chop in playing with Patrick Mahomes for Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Tyreek and Tua would quickly silence those critics though, with Hill having a career year in 2022, his first season in Miami. Tyreek had always been an explosive receiver, but the combination of Tua's accuracy, Tyreek's blazing speed, and a new look scheme with Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel, the results were off the charts. Hell, many people even deemed him a kick returner without Patrick Mahomes. They thought that he would regret his decision, but that year he put up multiple career highs with 119 receptions and 1,700 receiving yards, clearing his previous career highs by more than 200 yards. He was voted a first-team All-Pro for the 4th time in his career, as well as making his 7th straight Pro Bowl, but he wasn't done. And as he matured, he continued to improve without losing a single step. And hell, those who criticized him for going to play with Tua, after putting up an All-Pro season and breaking his career highs, he shut those people up pretty quick. He had shown that he was still a Hall of Fame caliber receiver without Patrick Mahomes. And the craziest part is that while Tua was injured, he was putting up numbers with backups like Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson. He might have blown out his career highs he had put up with the Chiefs, but this Miami Dolphins offense was just figuring out what they could be in 2022. You see, 2022 had been the first year together for a rookie head coach in McDaniel and Tua learning how to best serve Tyreek as his quarterback. So now in 2023, things only improved further. In the opening game of the season, Hill went for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Los Angeles Chargers, giving us a glimpse of what was to come. This time around, Hill once again cleared his career high, reaching almost 1,800 yards while missing a game and playing through multiple lower body injuries later in the year. He caught 13 touchdown passes and cleared 100 receiving yards in 8 of his 16 starts. He led the league in receiving and touchdowns for the first time in his NFL career, proving that his speed and production was not a product of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, but of his own. This move to Miami quite possibly has secured Hill's spot in Canton, Ohio. He was proving to all the world and to all the haters that he could be a difference maker despite the quarterback or the scheme he was put in, all while maturing and becoming a leader for the young players on this young Dolphins roster. Look, yes, I know Hill might have made some bad choices earlier in his life, but the level of growth is a true testament to those who really believed in him, and to Hill himself for breaking past those darker days. Some might have thought that an older Tyreek Hill would lose a step and be less effective in the NFL as a result. Not only did he break his career highs in his 8th season in the league, but he is still proving to himself to be the fastest man in the NFL history despite nearing his 30s. In 2023, Next Gen Stats clocked Tyreek Hill with 3 of the top 10 fastest speeds recorded that season. Mike McDaniel's Miami offense thrives off of its speed, and the Miami Dolphins accounted for stunning 6 of those top 10 numbers. Teammates Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert made up the other 3, but a now veteran Tyreek Hill is still the most unguardable talent the NFL has seen in a decade, and that's whether he's playing with Tua or Mahomes. We might never see another player in the league who can combine track level speed with pure ability as a wide receiver, resulting in the phenomenon that is Tyreek Hill. So drink it in and enjoy it while it lasts, because we're all witnessing greatness in real time. But we've had this discussion before, and I do think that he is a top 3 wide receiver of all time, but I want to know what you guys think. Where do you guys rank Tyreek Hill? And give me your list down in the comments below. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one.